kind of waiting here with bated breath, hoping that the stream comes through on the other devices so that I can check and make sure that it's doing okay. There's not a lot going on there. So we've got one. Okay, I heard that. We've got one. Oh, let's cancel that. Let's turn the volume down on that one. And right, I think we're good to go. Hopefully, all being well, we won't have any mess ups today. Like we did last week. I honestly do not know what happened last week. It was streaming and then all of a sudden the stream just froze. So hopefully we can avoid that this time around. Today I need to get some liberators built. So we've got Age of Sigmar, so Spearhead has just been released. I've got my first 2 issues. Hopefully I shall get the first video out for that sometime this week. And we can start that. I think the first issue is the Warlock Engineer, the Lord Veritant with Griff Crow, whatever that is, and another Skaven character. And so we'll get those built up in the video, and hopefully, as I say, that will be released sometime this week. There's not a lot of mold lines on this particular one. This is the double-handed hammer that we're building up here. So we are starting off with the front, and we're going to stick the head in. Must admit, I prefer helmeted heads wherever possible, because then I don't have to paint the faces. And for those that want to know, although it says Tamiya extra thin cement, although it says Tamiya extra thin cement on the pot, this is actually EMA plastic weld that I decant from another bottle, which I find much better than the plastic glue, because it can go off quite quickly, meaning that when you are putting items together, you're not waiting for minutes on end for the glue to go off so that you can actually glue the item together. Right, so and these are push fits, so what I do is I just shave a tiny little smidge off of the pegs. I've done that one. Oh, it was this one I was going to do. Just trying to shave a tiny little smidge off the pegs so that when they're pushed into the hole, the air's got somewhere to escape. Okay, right, and then this is going to go on there and there. So let's get that on there, that on there. There's our first one. Let's find the best position for this. I think like that. And then we've got this little bit of terrain to pop in. Simply because there's another hole there. Right, let's just make sure we can get that around the right way. Where's the other tweezers? Not those will do. Right, that's better. Done. Right, there's our first one. I quite like the double axe there. Right, now one of these is going to be the squad leader. Put that in there. I think might be this one. Yeah, it's this one. So he's got the fancy shield. There's not a lot of variety in these liberators. We basically have 5 poses, and the poses are the same. The alternative build generally is either Warhammer and shield, or 2 Warhammers. Take your pick. Not much else going on in that respect. I've got a couple of bits of Skaven that I need to build as well. Mainly the 2 banner icons and one of the leaders. Just checking, see if I can see any mold lines on there. I don't like using the mold line remover. It's too small, too fiddly. I've used the edge of a scalpel pretty much my whole modelling lifetime, so it does for me. Let's shave a bit off the peg. Shave a bit off that peg, like so. So what have people been up to this week? It was my birthday week, so I've had a fairly relaxing, well, I say relaxing week. I've had a lot to do for my 2 courses. My crank, my bottom bracket on my bike was playing up. I had to drop it into Halfords to have a new bottom bracket fitted. That was a bit of a nuisance. Still, I was able to use my veterans discount card to get a bit off the price, which was nice. I'm still training for the London to Brighton cycle ride that I'm going to be doing in June. And again, if I remember, I will make sure that there's a link to my fundraiser in the description. Something which I find really, I'm going to swear, that I find really shitty about the London to Brighton cycle ride this year is that apparently the train services that, or the train companies that service Brighton have turned around and said that they will not allow passengers to take their bikes on board on the day of the London to Brighton cycle ride, which kind of, you know, surely with the thousands of people that are going to be there, surely that would have been a good money maker for them. And for them to turn around and say, no, we're not going to allow you to bring your bikes on, I think is a bit shitty of them. I'm fortunate. I'm going up to London on the Saturday. I'm going to stay at a friend's in London. We're going to go out for Italian Saturday night, so I may very well be carb loading with I don't know, maybe a chicken pasta or something Saturday night, ready, so just so I've got a bit of extra energy stores the following morning. And then I shall cycle Sunday morning. I shall cycle over to, I think it's Clapham Common, cycle over to Clapham Common, set off, and hopefully be in Brighton in about 6 hours at the most. That's including a stop for a spot of lunch. Hopefully I won't have any issues with the bike. I'm glad that the crank played up now rather than obviously on the day, because that would have been a real nightmare. So all being well, that crank issue, I shouldn't have any issues so long as the mechanics at Halfords have done the repair properly and torqued it up to the right settings. I shouldn't have any issues. I've been out, done a couple of 20 milers. I need to start building that distance up. I've got what, 3 months until June? June 21st it is, so I've got about 3 months, I think, to build up from the 20 miles that I have been doing to hopefully about 50, 55. I know that the race on the day is 50, well, not the race, but the ride on the day is 54 miles. So what I'm hoping is that I can build up to 50 miles a couple of weeks before the event, and then start tapering down so that I'm rested before the event. So what I might do is do like build up to the 55 miles, do that, and then start tapering down by dropping maybe sort of like 10 miles a week over a couple of weeks, just to make it slightly easier on my body. And all being well, get that ride done in a good time. I'm not going to rip the arse out of it, but it is something that I want to do. And hopefully cycle across that finish line and collect my medal. So we have our squad leader here. And this is, right, where's that going to go? That goes in there, like that. So the good thing about this EMA is that it actually melts the plastic and welds it together. That's why it's called plastic weld. It really does a good job, to the point where I must admit, you know, sometimes when I've made mistakes with model kits that I've been making, I've not been able to successfully pry that mistake apart to start again. But it is good stuff. It is really good stuff. And I just order X amount of bottles from eBay. Right, so this is our sergeant. And, well, there it is. So this is our sergeant. I'm just trying to think of the best way to position our squad leader. Maybe like that. Maybe like that, I think. Now, do I go for the second hammer, which would go on kind of like, oops, kind of like so? Do I go for the shield? And the shield would go on like that. So that would be the shield. I'm going to go with the shield. But what I'm going to do is glue this arm on. And then not glue the shield on. The reason being that what I want to do is leave the shield off for ease of painting, because it can get in the way a bit. So that's how I'm going to attach that. I'm not going to glue the shield on. We have our skull on this instance. That's going to go in there. Like that. So there's our squad leader. Let's just pop that on temporarily. These are push to fit, so there's our squad leader. So these little pots that I'm using are just sauce pots. We've got a takeaway restaurant called Noodle Bar, and I try and have like a hobby day once a month, and sometimes if friends are around and we order takeaway, I'll keep the containers that sauces come in, just basically so that when I clip the miniatures from the sprue, I will put them into the individual pots. For ease of storage whilst I'm getting ready to assemble them. So I tend to clip everything out, and then from there I put everything into the pot. And then what I can do is I can just pick up the pot, and I'll do one of two things. If I'm prepping for a video, then what I do is I will basically, once everything's been put into the little pots, I will then go one at a time, empty the pot out, clean everything up, and then pop it back in the pot, so that when I come to the video, I've just got that one miniature per pot, and I can then just build them. Or like I'm doing now, I'll just clip everything out, and then I will empty out the pot as and when I'm ready to clean up and then trim and then build the next mini. That's kind of how I do my stuff. If I'm doing a big multi-part build. So for example, we've got the Rogel Dawn Tank build coming up, because that was part of the premium kit number 4 for Combat Patrol. I will segregate sections. So for example, I might put the all the parts for the turret into a slightly bigger, something slightly bigger, and maybe all the parts for one set of running gear into another container, and then I can segregate everything out that way, and it just makes it so much easier than trying to do the build and at the same time have to clip off components individually, clean them up and then glue them on, and then clip something else off, clean it up, glue it on. I much prefer this method that I've adopted. It is very much easier. But let me know what methods you've got for sorting your minis out for build. Do you just literally clip off each mini in turn and then clean it up, build it, put it to one side, move on to the next one? Or do you prep by getting everything ready and then just like break out the glue and then build everything all at once? Hopefully, and it's probably going to be famous last words, I'm not going to stab myself with a scalpel, because that happens on a regular basis. I'm sure people can relate to that. A couple of things I think that hobbyists can all relate to. One, losing tiny little parts to the carpet god. That's like a given for any type of modeler. Two, knocking over a paint pot and spilling it everywhere, or your water pot and spilling that everywhere. I think everybody's done that at least once. And then 3 is stabbing yourself in some way with either a scalpel or something sharply pointed. I think it's fair to say we've all done that. I mean, I don't know any modeler that hasn't done something like that. Right, and then this one, I tend to sort of like brush all my shavings to one side when I'm done, and then like just scoop them up and throw them into the bin. I've got a recycling bin, and I tend to sort of like just throw them into that, and then they just go into the bin, the recycling bin, when we're done. Right. Let's get this built. Right then. Let's have a look. Is that going to go? I think, yeah, about there. Which means that our little bit of terrain can go in there. Who's excited for the reveal show? I notice that some of the creator channels have YouTube content channels have shown that the Strategy Battles in Middle Earth game logo has been added to the lineup of gaming systems that they're going to talk about, which I'm quite excited about. I like Lord of the Rings. I really want them to do another Partworks for the strategy battle games, because it was the strategy battle games in Middle Earth in the early 2000s. I think it was just after the Lord of the Rings came out, the Fellowship of the Ring, or maybe just after the Two Towers. I can't remember when it was released. I really would love them to do another collection for Middle Earth in that way. Okay, so there's number 3. Not quite sure what they would put in for things like the premium. If they did it again and they offered premium, what do you think that they would offer? I mean, there's the chance that they might, for premium, they might include some of their scenery kits for the different factions. So we've got obviously the Rohan scenery kits. We've got the Gondorian scenery kits, as well as is it Barad-dûr? I think that's one of the scenery kits. So I mean, they could, as part of the premium, they could literally offer scenery kits for that collection. But I can remember the strategy battle games in Middle Earth Partworks that they released. I think it was 100 issues, I think, if I remember rightly. And as well as obviously painting the miniatures, which at the time were a mix of metal characters and plastic units, so things like plastic Urukai, but you had metal Urukai commanders, as well as obviously having those and having some paints, etc. We also had the rules, which is a given, but also had tutorials on how to build terrain, like expandable hedgerows and fences and things like that in that kit. Now obviously GW doesn't do that stuff so much these days, showing you how to make your own terrain, because obviously it wants you to buy its plastic terrain. But I really would love to see another strategy battle games in Middle Earth released, another collection. I'd have absolutely zero issues collecting that, mainly because I really enjoy the films. And I know people have slated it, but I've enjoyed the Rings of Power, as well as I didn't enjoy the Hobbit as much, the Hobbit trilogy. You know, I think it could have done with just being 2 films, but I've enjoyed the Rings of Power, and then I enjoyed the animated War of the Rohirrim. That was cool. So those were a couple of things. I think, is it a new series or is it a new film, the Search for Gollum, that they're working on? Somebody put it in the comments if they know. I can't remember what was said, what they were going to do in that respect. But it'd be good to see Andy Serkis return as Gollum. It's definitely his character. I haven't caught up with this week's Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, but the first 2 episodes that I've seen have been really good. Really enjoyed that, and I'm really enjoying this, obviously the backstory to some of the events that's happened in the movies. I may try and catch up with Legacy of Monsters tomorrow. And I finally watched the last episode of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I think it's okay as a series. It's grown on me, for certain. I do like Holly Hunter's Chancellor. She's pretty cool. I like her character. Right, where are we? Here we go. I've got tea there going cold. I haven't taken a sip yet. Right, let's have a look. Is that going to go? Yeah, I think that will go in there, which means that our little terrain peg, which I haven't trimmed out. Let's have a look. No, 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 no. Oh, maybe I did trim it out. Right, where's it gone? Well, that's a shit. Okay, all right. I have no idea where that's gone then. Did I pop it in here by mistake? Nope. Do you know, I thought I'd clipped them all out, but maybe I dropped one. No, that's not it. Okay, not a problem. We can work around it. Now, that is going to go on there. Okay. And then we have our shield arm. And then that is going to go into there. Put that down. Bingo, and then just push this on. Okay, next one. Right, final one of the Liberators. Slurp tea. So anyway, I think obviously Warhammer 40,000. whatever that was. Warhammer 40,000, I think Kill Team and Horus Heresy are all part of the reveal show next week. And I think there was something else, but I can't remember what it was. I'm not going to stay up because I think it's 1 o'clock in the morning, GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. Why they're doing the reveal show in the States, not the UK, I do not know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll get the snippets on Saturday morning when we wake up. So it's early evening, local time in the US, wherever it is they're filming it. But I think it's about 1 o'clock in the morning GMT on, so it'll be like 1 o'clock Saturday morning here in the UK. Yarrick has come back. Obviously, I'm assuming most people have seen that miniature now, which looks pretty cool. I do like the look of it. I may even get it. You know, I'm not necessarily that interested in Yarrick, but as a miniature, I quite like it. Big hoo-ha about the animation for the release of Yarrick's character, and the fact that the Armageddon Steel Legion weren't featured in the animation. Now, is this a deliberate ploy by GW? One of two things, maybe. The one, they deliberately omitted it because they're not going to give it any service, right? They're not going to release any new miniatures for the Armageddon Steel Legion. They've got their Krieg and they've got their Cadians, and they're going to stick with those as their main sort of like, and the Catachans, I think, as like the main 3 Imperial Guard armies for Warhammer. Or they deliberately omitted it in order to get people talking about it, and then stoked the fire with that. I don't know if it was a poor taste. I'd love to know what people think, but they stoked the fire a bit, didn't they, when they then released the Warhammer painting tutorial to paint some of your Krieg minis in the Armageddon Steel Legion colours. And it's like, what are you doing, GW? Who, you know, like I say, it's either, they are either not going to give them any airtime because they're thinking that they've got 3 regiments on the go and that's enough, or they're just doing it to wind the fans up and they have got something in, you know, in the works for Armageddon Steel Legion. What do you guys think? Which one do you think it is? I think it could go either way, to be quite honest. Knowing GW, there is a good chance that it's going to be a case of we're not going to support Armageddon Steel Legion. You're not going to get new miniatures. But I also think that there's a good chance that they may just be messing with people. So let me know what you think. Right. groovy. And I think that is going to have to go on there. So I will get another unit of Liberators with the Combat Patrol collection. And what I might do is, because we got 10 with Skaven Tide, what I might do is build this next unit that I get with, not Combat Patrol, with the Spearhead. Did I say Spearhead or did I say Combat Patrol? But with the Spearhead collection, I may very well build them wielding dual hammers, I think. So I'll have one unit of 10 with shields, then a unit of 5 with double hammers. Right, so some of the Skaven minis now. So this is, I think, their commander miniature. And this guy does have a choice. When you build him, he does have a choice of 3 heads. Just trying to make sure I get the mould lines on the rat tail, because they can be quite prominent. I haven't painted any Skaven in my life at all, so I need to sit down and do some test minis, I think, as to how I'm going to paint them. Any recommendations? Now that is going to go into there. This guy's got little rats all over him as well. So that's going to be a bit of a nuisance, trying to make sure that they get painted in a way that they stand out, I think. Okay. Right then. And that's going to go on there. Right. So that's that going. Just score it so that when I put PVA glue on the base, it has something to key into. And it's going to make it, hopefully, stay on there a bit better. So there's our clan rat leader. Now, these are the 2 banners that come with the clan rats. I'm going to build both. Right. I forget which body goes with which. I'm going to build both just because I kind of get the feeling that these guys would probably like as many banners as possible in a unit. We did get a spearhead kind of like get started pack, which came with an individual clan rat and an individual liberator. And that video is on my channel under the spearhead playlist. So all of these series that I've done where there has been like either Combat Patrol or Imperium or Stormbringer, they're all under their own playlist, so you can just go and find them easily. All the videos where there's a miniature included with that particular magazine has either a full build, or if it's a multi-part miniature set, a multi-miniature set, you know, like say maybe 10 Skitari warriors, then I've probably painted 2 or 3 so that people get the idea of how they go together. But if it's a single unit like a tank or something, then I've painted the whole thing. Not painted, I've built the whole thing for the video. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that. Let's have a look at the best way. Yeah, that'll do. So yeah, all the videos, they have their own little playlist, depending on the subject matter. And as such, you should be able to just easily find a video, because in whatever playlist you want to look through. There's a couple of scale model builds as well. There's a couple of like scale model build and paint series. I have got more that I want to do, but it's finding the time at the moment. I think I mentioned previously that I'm doing a couple of pre-degree courses. And I've found over the last couple of months the amount of... It started off fine. You're supposed to do these learning modules daily. But the problem is that one of the particular courses has doubled and sometimes trebled those learning modules each week. So I'm finding that I'm getting a bit less time to get things done. And I have just applied, registered my interest to start a law degree in the autumn. So I registered last week. I registered on Wednesday actually with the Open University, and hopefully this coming Wednesday, the 25th, the module selection opens, although the first 2 modules that I've got to do are compulsory. So it's the court system and criminal law, I think, are the first 2 modules. I still have to go through and select them for my first year, which is, I think, kind of redundant, really. But the allocation of study time, because I'm going to be doing it full time over 3 years, is 30 plus hours a week, they say. Now, I'm kind of hoping that the first year, because it's criminal law and the court system, I've already done that. I did GCSE law a few years ago. And I'm hoping that that first year is just going to be revision for me. Is what I'm hoping. That's what I'd want to happen. Okay, so there's our 2 banner bearers for our clan rats. And then we have this guy tolling a bell. Oh, what fun. Maybe I should put him on a bass, and when you press an electronic bass, so that when you press him, he plays the Muppet version of, is it Carol of Bells? Do, 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 do. That one. But that's probably just making more work for myself unnecessarily. Just looking. Okay, and then this bit. That's that. And then again, nice easy one. These clan rats are actually, although there's like, I think there's like 40 in the Skaven Time box set, most of them are just 2 halves. So they're like really quick and easy to just put together. Which is quite handy, really, when there's that many. It's going to be interesting to see how many orcs we get in this new 11th edition box set, because they're another horde army, aren't they? I mean, I thought 20 Termagants was bad enough on the Leviathan box set. We'll have to wait and see what we get with these orcs. Okay. Like that? No. That's better. That's looks better on the base. Right. Okay, so that's 4 of those buggers. I do have more on the sprue that I need to build. I just have not got round to them. That's a repeat, right? I have built the other stuff. It's just these clan rats now. It was the Liberators and the Clan Rats that I hadn't finished building. And they've just been sat gathering dust for a spell. Which is a bit of a nuisance. Okay, so what have we got? J13, J14. Let's have a look. Not that one. I've got that on my bloody brain now. 13 is there. 15, 16. 14. They don't make it easy to locate these things. Both of these halves are on different sprues, and I appreciate that they do it this way to make it easier to get. That's not even right though, is it? J13. J14. Missing a head. J15. There you go. That's why. Okay, and then 15 is this one. Oh, I think this will be the last one to do tonight. We've had some really cracking weather this week here in Bournemouth. I think it's going to continue tomorrow. Tuesday's going to be wet, but I think it's sunshine again on Wednesday, which would be cool. We do like a bit of sunshine. Cycled to the gym earlier today and went through Kings Park, I think it is, in Boscombe, out towards Southbourne. And as I was cycling round, there was a percussion band just jamming, having a bit of a jam session against one of the hedgerows. They were just there playing their instruments, whistles blowing, drums beating. I should have it. I don't know what the audio quality will be like, but I should have it. Because I've got a helmet cam, just basically for my protection when I'm out cycling. So I'll see if I can dig out, see what the audio's like, and if it's any good, I might just upload it as a short. Yeah. Right. I think this is just going to go in there. Right, it looks like we've managed to get through tonight without any technical issues this time round. Once again, I'm going to apologise for the complete and utter clusterfuck that was last week. I don't know what happened. Like I say, halfway, in fact not even halfway, about 20 minutes in, the signal just stopped, I think, and there was an issue with something or other, and I just couldn't get the signal back. you go. Right, that's the last mini we're going to build tonight. And let's just get that position. Yeah. Like so. Glue the other foot down. And there you go. Right. Okay. I'm kind of like 5 more miniatures into finishing my clan rats. Got my 5 liberators done. Okay, thank you for joining me this evening. I hope you've had a lovely weekend, and I will see you all next week. All right, you take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. All right, bye-bye.